I've been depressed. It was mainly through that stage, weird teenager stage. But like it was like through 7th and 8th grade. I'd like recently moved to a different school and I knew absolutely no one. It was majority white, so I felt really weird. And I've known a lot of other people that have been depressed or are still depressed.
I have a lot of kids that I meet with that have depression. It's probably the number one thing they come in for, and a lot of it is, issues at home or issues with other students or parents. I mean, teachers. But it all seems to be overwhelming to them, so they need somebody to talk to kind of sort things through. So I kind of enjoy that.
A lot of students are feeling the blues, and I don't like to use the word depression because it is very clinical. It's definitely a diagnosis that you would get from a psychiatrist. So I like to use the word blues or just down, and I see a lot of students who are in that, even just for a day. Maybe they're just having a really bad day. All the way up to cases where the student is battling with it on a regular basis. So yeah, absolutely, I do see a lot of students who deal with that.
When I was depressed, my relationships with people, it did strain my relationships with people because I was more closed off and reluctant to speak to people who were already close to me and such.
Like in the moment, at the time, I didn't realize that I was affecting others around me, like whether it was my family or my friends or my peers or teachers. But after talking about it with my best friend, she realized that I was acting different and that it changed her, and I didn't realize it. And now that I look back at it, I do still feel really sorry about it because it wasn't her fault. And my family didn't have that same feeling anymore. That I didn't have for them.
As far as age range goes, I work with 9th through 12th graders, so I see all students from every single grade, and I can see it in every single student 9th through 12th. So 14 to 18-year-olds, maybe even a little bit older or younger. So I definitely see it across the board. There's not a specific age group that I work with that I see comes in with depression issues.
Yeah, we have a variety of ages that come about depression. It seems like everybody comes, all ages come with depression, but the reasons are different. So a lot of times with 9th graders, it's a lot of home issues and things that they can't seem to handle at home. And then older kids, it seems to be more life issues like making it through school and things like that they come for. So multiple ages, just different reasons.
When I was depressed, I had like little thoughts here and there, but I knew I didn't have the guts enough to do it, and that led me to self-harm, but not major self-harm, but enough to change me.
I have never tried to commit suicide. Have I ever thought about it? I've thought about it, but not actually wanted to try it.
I often check about their sleep patterns and their eating patterns if they've been different than they had in the past. I also ask them if they've lost interest in certain events or if they cry more often than they used to, those kinds of things. With girls, it's a lot of emotional stuff with sadness. With boys, sometimes it's aggression and things that they tend to be acting out more in behaviors that are different than the girl behaviors, but it's still depression.
The warning signs are just, definitely crying a lot. If they're telling me that they're really tired all the time, that's usually a big sign of depression, is being really tired because you're so mentally tired that your body just gets physically tired. Let's see. I definitely look for signs if they're saying they want to hurt themselves or hurt somebody else, just because that's really important, because that's severe depression, and we really want to look out for that as a counselor, especially in the school setting, to keep our kids safe. So I look for, those classic signs of just being sad and down, but even more, like it's even more so when they're depressed. So we try to keep an eye on those kind of symptoms and signs. So I think it's on the individual basis. So I agree with the medicines. I think if it helps you, then go ahead and take the medicine. But if you want to try a different route, as long as you're finding something that works for you. So I don't see a problem with them, but I think it has to be the individual because some kids just don't like being medicated. So I think that's just the reality of medicine. So.
I feel like medicines or prescriptions that are given to people that are depressed, they might do something like chemical wise in your brain, but I feel like they don't do anything. Like I didn't see a doctor and I learned to cope and deal with it and I got over it. And some people have different outlets, whether it's doing other activities, getting their mind off it, or taking those medicines, or going to bigger things such as religion or philosophy and talking to people.
I would say I do not agree with them. Anything that you're depressed about can be talked through, and I don't think you necessarily need medicines, but I don't know the whole science of it, so.
We aren't allowed by law to mention medication or suggest medication to the kids at all. That's something that we're not allowed to do because we're not certified in that area. But I definitely notice when the kids bring it up and parents bring it up that medication seems to really help a lot of kids. And again, I can't encourage them to take the medication, but as I see them taking it and using it, it does seem to help kids get kind of a kickstart on feeling better. I think what helps depressed kids the most is talking through their problems. Oftentimes depressed kids or adults feel like they're alone in the situation, and that's just not true. They have a lot of people that love them, and even though they don't feel like it's true, oftentimes there are people right next to them that would give them a listening ear, and they just need to reach out to those people and let them know how much they're hurting before it gets worse.
The other teens that are our age and haven't talked to anyone, I really do hope you go see someone because you're not alone. And it's really cliche, but a lot of people have gone through it, whether they're afraid or not to admit it.
Try to find someone to talk to, and it doesn't necessarily have to be an adult. If you don't feel comfortable going to a counselor or a therapist or a parent, talk to a friend. Find your outlet, find what's going to work for you, because a lot of those times if you're just bottling up your feelings, that can make things worse. So just trying to find a way to get it out in the open with somebody, because it is something that you should, you don't have to go through alone, and there are support systems. And then as a friend, if you're hearing that your friend is going through depression, talk to them. Try to talk them into seeing someone like an adult who can talk to them. And it's always good just to get. Counselors are good in the fact that we don't. We're going to kind of be an unbiased eye on your situation and your problem, so we can help just be a listening ear. We don't necessarily have to. We're not going to give you the answers and tell you what to do. We're just going to listen and try to help you through whatever you're going through. So.
Once you do get past it, you look back and you realize that you come out a stronger person, and you just look for the future.
I would say if you're depressed right now, keep your head up. Suicide is not an option.
As a parent, just letting them know you can come to me with whatever, and that you care about them and you want to see them get help. So, and keep an eye out as a parent, keep an eye out for those warning signs if your child is sleeping a lot, or you notice that they're, withdrawn, or they're not eating as much, or just pay attention to those warning signs so you can kind of check in and be like, are you feeling okay? Because it could also be other signs, symptoms of other things, not just depression, other medical issues. So just checking in if you are seeing those warning signs.
For parents, what I usually do when I call them with a kid who's really sad is I try to gauge how the parent receives the information, and if they're minimizing it and not taking it seriously, I really try to heighten their, try to create the emergency kind of to tell them how serious the condition is and how it could lead to more difficult things. If they are taking it seriously, I just encourage them to continue to talk to the kids and get them outside counseling as soon as possible.